All right, Colin, we're back. Another episode of Ball State Union. Ball State Football Talk is back with us. We got a lot to get into today, so let's get right into it right now. We're talking Ball State. Don Shondell and Ray McCallum talking Ball State. Nate Davis and Bonzi Wells, Schumann, Bell Tower, and Worthen. Fans Oliver from Muncie to Berlin. Getting Concanons, Carters, and Greeks. All right. It is, Wednesday, December 11th. We are back for another episode of Ball State Football Talk. Colin, good to see you again, man. Thanks for joining us again.
Let's go, John. I'm glad to be here.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Okay, hey, let's go. A quick recap of the last episode was our Christmas wish list that came out. Had some good response online, nice handful of views. We actually did get a new head coach from when we originally recorded, so that was kind of the only thing that we really needed to change out of there. Just kind of give me a quick update. What is kind of your feedback you've gotten from people about the last episode?
Yeah, I think a lot of people liked it. I think we brought some good energy. You know, there's not a lot of people doing this, so I think people were just happy to see that. We did have like a lot of good feedback on the short form videos. So I saw some people talking about maybe new things we could do to like entice more of a crowd to the actual stadium on game day. So I saw some people saying we don't really have like a super cool, run out when we get there. There's like no smoke, there's, no fireworks, there's no cannons going off, anything like that. So I think just improving traditions, it was cool to see a lot of people's perspective and like things Ball State could do in the future. I think that was my number one takeaway from what people gave us back.
Yeah, I saw a lot of different stuff like that. But yeah, for the most part, it seemed pretty cool. Like everyone was enjoying it. So if you did enjoy that, we're going to have a lot more coming forward. We're going to have as many of those short form clips on Twitter and maybe some other social media platforms to be determined. But if you're watching this video or you're watching any of our clips, if you wouldn't mind, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, Ball State of the Union. Also, leave a comment. Leave a like on this video. All of it helps kind of get the video out to more people so more people can see it. So, and also be sure to follow both of us on our respective Twitter accounts. Colin's at Ball State Football Talk, as you can see on the screen right there. And I am at John _ Clausen 17. So that kind of gets most of the housekeeping stuff out of the way. I did have one other announcement. If you're listening to this and you are either or do know any former players, coaches, staff members, if you're just a person who loves Ball State and wants to talk about a specific sport or specific things that's going on, or if you're even just a fan who has an interesting story or maybe a cool collection, reach out to one of the two of us. We're looking to kind of add as many people into coming on and chatting and talking about Ball State as we can. So if you fall into that category, reach out to myself or Colin or comment on the YouTube video, and we'll get you kind of taken care of. So, Definitely. All right, Colin, you ready
John,
to roll?
bring back that call line.
I have the call line. The call line is ready. The call line is active still. Let me get you the number. Let me get you the number. 1 second here. Talk about something for like 30 seconds. I'll get you the number.
For sure. I love the fact that John has a call line. I mean, if you're upset or if you're happy about whatever you see on the field right now, it's a little bit of a quiet period, but I love to get that feedback from people that are listening. What are you thinking? Are we off? Are we right? Give us some feedback. It can be on Twitter. It can be on the call line. I just want to get the most people involved as we can.
Call line number. You can call or text. Call, leave a voicemail, send a text, send a video, send a picture. Number is 317-426-6341. That is 317-426-6341. If you send a text or call that number, we'll get it included on the next show, whatever it is you want to talk about. I guess it'll be loosely vetted so that nothing really crazy will be put on there, but since it's not live. But if for some reason you have something you want to say, let us hear it. So
I love it. Roll. And I just want to put it out there too. We're working on improvements. I'm going to get my background a little bit nicer. I'm getting the Ball State flag in, something like that. John, I know we're going to work on the song. People, don't turn off the video when the song comes on because good stuff is following. We're coming.
Guys, if you don't know, it's a parody to the song Talkin' Baseball. And if you are aware of that, maybe I'm too old at this point. Maybe I'm too old and it doesn't resonate with the younger people. I think it's good, but we'll figure it out. We can talk about that more. So we're going to get to a bunch of football stuff here in a minute. I'm going to start with a little bit of basketball if I could. So we're going to start with women's basketball, actually. So a couple points we hit on in the last video about basketball specifically, and then kind of just Ball State sporting, events overall, is we wanted to see some cooler promotions, maybe some creative things. And I'll be honest with you, I don't follow Ball State women's basketball maybe as close as a lot of other people do, but they did some pretty cool stuff in the last week since we have had our last video. So I'm going to go ahead and put this letter up from head coach Brady Salee.
Yeah,
here,
give him a little love, John. Give him a little love.
Last week, you might have saw they had what's called Field Trip Day. And it looks like it's their 8th annual thing. So basically what this is they play during the day, during the school day, and kids from local schools go on a field trip to the game. And so when they did this year, they had their second largest crowd in program history at Worthen Arena for the women's basketball team. Over 5,000 people showed up. So they're just a little bit off. They're about 400 people short of their attendance record for the women's basketball team. And so I think that was an awesome idea, that field trip day. Obviously, they almost been doing almost 10 years, but they're one-upping it now because they want to break that record. And so it says right here in this letter, he coined this letter to everyone. Mark your calendars, December 19th. It's going to be community night at Worthen Arena, Ball State women's basketball against Anderson at 6:30. Get this, all tickets to get in, $1. Tickets are $1 to get in. They want to break that record. They're using the hashtag #PackWorthen. So if you're talking about women's basketball or anything along those lines, use the hashtag #PackWorthen. Be there on December 19th, $1. You could take your whole family for $4, go watch a game and help be a part of history. Now, Colin, I know you live in South Bend, so you probably won't be able to make this, just like I won't be able to. But as a, season ticket holder for Notre Dame women's basketball, if they came to you and said, hey, ticket tonight is $1, I think you'd probably think that's pretty sweet.
Yeah, that's a great deal. That's a great deal. I think that you can always sweeten the pot a little bit. I won't complain over $1, but people throw them a little concession deal too. Sweeten the pot. Or maybe it's you pay $1 to get in and then you pay on the concessions. That kind of makes sense too. But I love it. Any little thing we can do to get more people in the stands.
Yeah. So hey, they're trying. They were pretty close last week. Only about 400 people off. So again, December 19th against Anderson, 6:30. If you're in the area, go up there, support them. Let's help them break this record. Hashtag #PackWorthen. So
let's do it.
Now to something not as fun in the basketball. Oh, one more note with them. Actually, last week I said I would like to see more big, time programs on the basketball schedule. It was mainly talk to about men's basketball, but actually with women's basketball, they actually played Ohio State last night. Now, it didn't go very well, but that's kind of be expected. But I do like that. I like that they're scheduling these good teams on the road, getting them some good experience. If they do have a good year, they make the NCAA tournament, it's going to be, they'll kind of be battle tested a little bit. They're going to have those tough games on the road already under the belt. So I like seeing that. Men's basketball, take a note.
Definitely. It's good for the team.
Yep.
Good for the team. Get the lumps early.
One more basketball note, and this one's not as nice. This is men's basketball. Lost another game on Sunday at Southern Illinois Edwardsville. Now, this is no shot at Southern Illinois Edwardsville. I think that they're actually having a pretty good year. But Ball State men's basketball should never lose a game to them. And they lost by 13 points. When they played in that tournament down in Florida right before Thanksgiving, they won 2 out of 3 games. It seemed like they maybe kind of had things turned around. But they're really struggling now. And I know you're not the biggest basketball guy, but there's only 3 more non-conference games before MAC play starts, and they really need to figure it out. They play at Bellarmine, which is in, I believe, Louisville this weekend, and then they have home games against Evansville and Anderson, and then they're right into MAC play. And they really need to get this thing going because, the MAC's not going to be any cakewalk for any team. It's going to be a tough night every night. So, in college basketball, you're never really dead until the conference tournament, you're out of it. But they really need some help here. And Mike Lewis, this team's trending in the wrong direction. So give my man Colin a reason to watch. Give him a reason to watch men's basketball. Maybe he'll become Ball State football and basketball talk. Who knows?
Yeah, I'd love to tune in.
Yeah.
For sure. Maybe I will. If we make it far enough, I definitely will. I don't want to say I hate, basketball or anything, but I haven't been watching this year. I'm not going to act like I have, but
that's all good. You haven't been missing.
I'm hopeful for him.
Yeah. All right. I think that's enough basketball talk. How about some football?
Let's do it.
All right. We got a couple football topics here. I'll get a little feedback here. We're going to talk MAC postseason awards first. We'll start happy, and we'll get a little bit sadder here. So MAC postseason awards came out last week. We had a handful of people make it. We had a freshman of the year, Caden Samanza. Malcolm Gilly actually won 2 awards, which I thought was interesting. He won Special Teams Player of the Year, as well as Kickoff Return Specialist of the Year. Then we had a handful of people make the second team. We had Mooch on the offensive line. We had Tanner Koziel, tight end. And then on the third team, we had Ethan Crow, Tanner Tayo, Cam Pickett, and Brandon Berger. So a lot of these guys we'll talk about here more in a minute, but what are your thoughts on these postseason awards?
It's a pretty good list. I think it's well deserved. All those players deserve it. Caden Samanza definitely had a year. Tanner Koziel, absolute dog. I mean, he would have been the best in the MAC if it wasn't for Fannin at Bowling Green, just absolutely having the best season for a tight end this year, just blowing it away. So I like it a lot. Malcolm Gilly deserved. Brandon Berger, I love that he got some recognition. He had a good year. I liked it.
Yeah, so we're going to talk about transfer portal here in just a second, and we'll see, unfortunately, a handful of these names pop up again. But before we get to that, there was an interesting note outside of Muncie yesterday that came out, and it's something we heard about a month or so back. This came from Brett McMurphy, I believe, from the beginning, and it's kind of come back again now. What are your thoughts on Northern Illinois potentially leaving the MAC? I don't think anything is official yet, but it's kind of popped back up again. It seemed like it was dead. Now it's kind of back. Give me your initial thoughts.
I think it hurt football at least a little bit. You know, NIU is one of the top 3 brands up there with Toledo and Miami, Ohio. But I think for the most part, it'll be okay. I like the fact that we already have UMass kind of as a cushion if NIU does leave. I do think we'd be in trouble if we saw Toledo go with them. I think that'd be trouble. But, I don't really know that this is a great move for NIU, personally.
That's what I was thinking as well.
But, I mean, best of luck to them if that's what they do. I do know, like, the cost of traveling is going to go up. And for, like, a group of 5 team, that's tough. But, if that's what they want to do, good luck to them. It is interesting to note that we've been owning them as of late.
Yeah.
So they'll leave with the bronze stock with us. But if that's what they decide to do, that's what they do. Yeah, forever. Mike New owned them.
Yeah, that's not a place where you want to be. You don't want to be on the losing end of something to Mike New. But yeah, I would think it's a fairly short-sighted thought process, because with how much college football is changing nowadays, the MAC has been pretty well intact, especially the core members, for decades upon decades at this point. And so you leaving, for a little bit of a money grab just in football, I guess I don't know the exact numbers, so maybe it is a big difference, but you're kind of going from being in a rock solid kind of unit to being the outsider, to being the last guy in. If you think about a company and there's a round of layoffs coming, it's always the last person that's been hired. So if something crazy happens out in the Mountain West and things kind of go awry, or certain teams get pulled up and do this, that, and the other, you're the last, you're at the bottom. Like, you're going to be the first person cut. And so, I don't like Northern Illinois. Obviously, they're one of, Ball State's biggest rivals, but, I think it is a little bit short-sighted. And another thing to keep in note, this is only for football that they would be doing this for, to go to the Mountain West. So if I'm the MAC, and I think, we saw this with UMass coming in now. If I'm the MAC, I'm telling them, okay, hey, you're going to go to Mountain West. That's great. You better find a home for the rest of your sports, because they're not going to be playing in the MAC anymore. Right. And I think if they don't do that, which I have a very strong feeling that that's exactly what would happen, that would be a bad look. I would not be okay with that. If Northern Illinois wants to go off to the Mountain West and play football, like you said, best of luck to you. Can't stop you from doing that. But the rest of your team's got to go too. They can't stay. So
agreed. 100%.
Dang, I had a good. Let me see if I can pull it up here real quick.
Where does basketball end up at, though? Missouri Valley or
their basketball teams? Yeah, I mean, Missouri Valley, the Horizon League. Like, there's a handful of places that they could go. Let me see if I can get. I had one more thing in here. I don't think I've ever showed you this, but while I'm trying to pull this up, give me some people who potentially could be like a replacement. So for some reason we lose Northern Illinois as a
Yeah.
whole in the MAC. Who could you see potentially coming in?
Sure. So we already have 13 teams with UMass, but the two teams I'd like, if Northern Illinois does leave and then we go down to 12 teams and say we do want to add, I think we got to look at Middle Tennessee and Western Kentucky.
Yep.
That duo, I think, would be kind of nice to have in. Um, Other than that, I don't really know who else I'd really, maybe UConn. I'm kind of like regionally out there with Buffalo maybe and UMass.
In UMass, yeah.
Um, I don't know. That's about what I got, I think.
Yeah, those are the two teams I had as well. With UConn, I think the only issue with UConn is I think it would probably end up being a scenario where it's going to be they would be a football only join, and it's like if you're kicking out Northern Illinois because of that, basically, I don't know how well that would go over. But I will say the stock off happened, and they can never change that. So
Yeah.
if you guys leave, Brown stock stays with us forever. So that's about all I have on Northern Illinois leaving. You got anything else?
No, that's it. That's it. I think it's interesting, something to keep our eye out on. Everything is moving. Everything's
Mm-hmm.
moving. So Pac-12's changing, Mountain West changing, maybe the MAC.
We'll see. But on the Northern Illinois note, there was an interesting tweet from their head coach, Thomas Hammock, and it will kind of lead us into our talk about the transfer portal. So he put out this tweet yesterday, and you can kind of read it here.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, what he's saying is next year, the roster is going to be cut down by 15 spots. And so basically, across the whole landscape of college football, there's theoretically going to be 2,000 less roster spots next year than there are this year. So what he's saying is, you guys who are going in the transfer portal, you really need to strongly consider what's happening because there might not be spots next year, and a lot of people maybe have played their last down of FBS football and they don't even realize it yet. But it's just kind of an interesting thing. You said the math ain't mathin'. What are your kind of thoughts on these roster cut downs? And we can kind of look at our people we know have entered the transfer portal so far.
One of my big thoughts is from that tweet, the group of five should be getting a lot better if the Power Five schools are all going to lose, say, 15 players, maybe more.
Yep.
Those players should theoretically be, falling down to the group of five. So I would hope, Ball State's looking at that, looking at players that are on the cutting block that maybe we've recruited before or, we looked at before and they had interest in Ball State before they got maybe a bigger school. I think that's my big thing is I'm hopeful we can take advantage of it, but it does suck for the players, especially for these high school kids that are coming in right now, and then they've got to compete with players that are on their fifth or sixth year due to COVID or injury, and then the transfer portal is just going crazy. I do feel for the players a little bit on this as well. Yeah, it's a tough situation, but I hope we can take advantage of it.
Yeah, you're just going to have to hope that bringing in a new coach is not going to be an extra deterrent here. Hopefully, he can get out and get the recruiting done pretty quickly, which time will tell. A lot of people have kind of been talking online about how good of a recruiter he actually is, so that's kind of a good thing to see. But yeah, this could be a real make or break year for a lot of programs because whoever's going to be able to adapt to this new rule the fastest is really going to thrive. And so with that said, we're going to go ahead and look kind of at our own
One more
portal.
thing on that, John.
Go ahead.
Thomas Hammock, his quarterback's in the transfer portal right now, and he's looking at going to Tulane possibly.
Okay.
Tulane's quarterback got taken by someone or got contacted by, an agent supposedly saying I can get you this amount of money here or there. So it's crazy to see how it falls. Maybe Caden Samanza ends up at NIU. I don't want that to happen. He's a dog. I'd love that he'd stay at Ball State. I don't think he'd do that to us, but Ethan Hampton, I think is his name, was NIU's quarterback. He's looking at Tulane to backfill for Mensa, I think is his last name. So it's just crazy how it all kind of like goes together. I mean, we're going to talk about Kyle Kelly here, who I think has DeQuan Finn potential, and he's looking at Toledo, and that could be a problem for us. I mean, if he goes there and and they take advantage of him how we should have taken advantage of him, he'll go crazy there.
Yeah. Well, I guess we can. So we. Do you have anything more on Kyle Kelly? Because we can just stay right there if that's what you want to talk about right
Yeah,
now.
I mean, I'll start. I think he's a weapon anywhere you put him. You know, wildcat, like quarterback sort of option, or I mean, I want somebody to use him to his full potential. I want somebody to like take him and have him be the starting quarterback so he can just be that dual threat. And maybe he runs a little bit more than he passes, but as long as he works on that, I mean, I really do think the sky is the limit for Kyle Kelly. I've seen him break so many people's ankles. He's a dog in my book for sure. And I just hope the right place gets him and the right place uses him right.
Yeah. So I'm have a little bit different thought process on Kyle Kelly. Uh, I definitely think he is an explosive player that you could definitely utilize on offense. I don't necessarily know as much about at the quarterback position, and I think the problem last year when we had him was we just kind of we weren't super creative with him. If we wasn't going to be our every down quarterback, they kind of just randomly had him in at play a quarterback. And when you do that, and he's not really that much of a threat to pass as much anymore, it was pretty predictable what was going to happen. I would have liked to seen him line up at running back or line up, at wide receiver, to like kind of be a little bit more creative. And I think that would be the best way to use him. I think,
So
yeah,
real,
go ahead.
real quick. When that's not Kyle Kelly's fault though. We
No,
didn't
it's
use
not.
him right. You know
No,
what I
no,
mean?
no,
Like
it's not.
when you put him in and then you're pulling him out, and then maybe you randomly put him in for like 4 plays in the game, he's
Hmm.
cold. He's coming in cold.
For sure.
Get him in a rhythm. Have him like when he was working the offense with him and Marquez Cooper. That might have been the best offense I've seen really. I mean, this offense this year was pretty great with the
Hmm.
Samanza and uh Koziel connection, and then you sprinkle in Pickett going off, and then Bowick for the 4 games. I love that, but we had an identity when it was Kyle
Hmm.
Kelly and Marquez Cooper. We were going to run it down your throat. We didn't care what you were going to do. It was the option. It could go to Marquez Cooper, maybe on the tackle, or Kyle Kelly will run it out. Like I liked what we did there. It was dangerous. It kept defenses on their toes. I wish we used more motion with it,
Hmm.
or like attacked in different ways. It can get a little stale when that's all you're doing and not sprinkling in enough throwing or play action or whatever. But to me, I think yeah, Kyle Kelly, he's a quarterback somewhere for me.
Yeah, and that's fine. Yeah, say I think he would have been. It would have been amazing had they just utilized. If they'd have been a little bit more creative with him this year, I think he would have been. He would have been a stud player in the MAC for us. So, okay, we got Kyle Kelly out of the way. We'll go back to the top of the list. Obviously the big one, Caden Samanza. Who knows? Is he going to actually leave, or is he going to end up coming back? What do you think?
I think he's gone, brother.
You think he's
I think
gone?
he's gone. He's a talent. He's a talent. The fact that I got to watch him, I know something big's coming. I know something big's coming. I like him a lot. He was a great player. He can throw the ball.
Yep.
And he can move a little bit too. He can move a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where exactly we'll see him, but I think he'll be moving somewhere and he'll get an offer somewhere. I think he deserves it. He's the offensive rookie of the year in the MAC and deservedly so. I think somebody will take a look at him.
Yeah, for sure. So for sure. Yeah, I mean, it would be great to be able to keep him, come back. I mean, obviously, you never know exactly what's going to happen until it's announced where someone's going. But yeah, it would be great to get him back. If not, obviously a huge hole that they're going to have to fill pretty much immediately. So
Yeah. He's got that swag, that moxie that you want your quarterback to have too. Like when he comes out on the field, like you want him to command respect. I think he's got that. I think he's a leader. He looks the part.
yep. And obviously there's things he can still work on, and I'm not really going to go into those because again, he was just a freshman this year, so that's going to come with time. Things that he can work on that he can get better at. So, let's see who else. Do you have the list in front of you? If so, all right, do you want me to read them off to you? And then if I get to a name, you just stop me.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right. We got Miles Norwood. We got Tanner
Yeah, he's a
Koziel.
good corner. I saw Miles Norwood's going to take a visit with, I believe it was South Carolina, but he
Okay.
was a
Yeah.
good corner. I like Miles Norwood.
Hmm.
He was good for us.
Another big one, Tanner Koziel. I was said on the last episode or two episodes. I can't remember what it was. I think he's going to end up being in the NFL. Is he going to be like an all-pro player in the NFL? Who knows? But I think he's going to have a decent career where he hangs around for a while in the NFL. Again, he tested the transfer portal last year, ended up coming back. I know he has some visits, I think, coming to Houston and Wisconsin, but you would think he's gone this time. I know you're a big Tanner Koziel fan as well. What do you think?
Yeah, he's a Big Ten tight end talent, undeniably. Wisconsin, I could see him in that uniform. I could see him in Iowa, though I don't really want him in Iowa. I want him to, get a bunch of balls, so maybe not Iowa, but I could see him at. I know I'm in South Bend, but I could see him at Notre Dame, tight end
Yeah, you had
U.
mentioned that last time.
I would love to see Tanner Koziel at Notre Dame if he doesn't come back.
Yeah,
Um, I could see him really anywhere. That's the thing. You got a big guy that you can throw a jump ball to. Who wouldn't want him? I think
great
he might
hands.
be our number one, like from the outside looking in, looking from the vantage point of like the Sharks trying to like take the pieces of our team. I think he might be the most appetizing piece.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's like the most polished, probably best player on this list. I mean, obviously, people are always going to be after quarterbacks, but I think
Yeah.
if you're talking about who's the most pro ready player, like right now, who's going to have the most impact right away, I would think it'd be Tanner Koziel. He would be a plug and play pretty much anywhere he wants
Yeah.
to go. Great hands.
That's my thinking.
He can take hits. He takes some big hits over the middle, holds onto the ball. So yeah, great player. Love to see him come back, Tanner. If you listen to us, come back. But if you're going to
Definitely.
get the bag somewhere, then we understand. So, a couple wide receivers: Keon Magwood, Cam Pickett. Cam Pickett really kind of came on throughout
Yeah.
the year. We loved running that kind of end around with him.
Yeah, similar to Tanner Koziel, where like I really think you could just pluck him and put him on a team, and he's got a similar like plug and play sort of advantage where like you don't have to make the offense for him. He'll work in anything. He's got great size to him. He looks like a SEC wide receiver. His size is crazy. He's got great burst. You can use him on the end around. He can run with the ball. He's great after the catch. Uh, yeah, he's someone I would really look at too. I think he's definitely up there with Koziel. He didn't get his full potential taken advantage of this year. He's got great things to come. I'm a huge fan.
For sure. A couple more names. We got Caden Johnson, Ty Baldwin,
Yep,
Von
I like Ty
Pemberton.
Baldwin.
You like Ty Baldwin? I think I
Pemberton,
saw. Yeah, go ahead.
Pemberton, we talked about it a little last week. If you can pick your perfect ideal number two back, for me it's Von Pemberton. I want a big bruiser to just come in and run somebody over. He loves contact. I He's underrated. He's underrated.
Yep. Yeah, I think he's got a little more speed than sometimes you might think he has of him too. But yeah, Von Pemberton. Again, we never know where anyone's going to end up. They always could come back, but we'll see. I know one of your guys, D.D. Snyder. Tell me a little bit more about D.D. Snyder.
Man, what can I say? D.D. Snyder, absolute dog. Him and Keontae Newsome, those are probably my two defensive MVPs. Although shout out Riley Tolsma and Brandon Berger, they were doing their thing too. And Stemler, Joey Stemler, he's an absolute dog. So D.D. Snyder, he just was a playmaker, an absolute playmaker. Fly across the field, get a pick, force a fumble, recover a fumble. Just every game, you would spot him a couple times, and it wasn't like, oh, who got burned. It was never like that. It was just, okay, we had a good play. Like, I want to see who that was. A lot of times it was D.D. Snyder, in the secondary making plays, George Udo in the secondary making plays. But D.D. Snyder, a lot of the times I was seeing him fly around. He's an absolute dog. He should go somewhere. I mean, somewhere power 4 or 5 easily, in my opinion.
Okay, we had 3 offensive linemen make all MAC. One of them, Tarantino, entered the transfer portal as well. Already saw he's getting some looks from Ohio State.
Yeah.
That's a big good offensive line. It'd be great to kind of keep them all intact if possible. But again, can't fault anybody really with the current landscape of college football, with wanting to go make some money. So, Tarantino, What do you got on him? Anything?
Yeah, so on EA College Football 25, I was studying the roster and like how they were ranking players, and even throughout the season how they're upgrading players. He ended up being our second best rated player after Tanner Koziel. And I mean, he just moves people. If you watch any film on him or if you watch a game, he moves people. He's an absolute stud. The Ohio State is deserved. He could really go anywhere he wants to. If anyone's paying attention, when they watch his tape, they'll see he's the real deal. And I know I'm just saying great things about all the players, but that's how it works. They come in, they steal your best players.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Um, so it's tough, but like all these people that we're talking about, I mean, even people I didn't get to talk about, like Ty Baldwin, all these people we're talking about, Miles Norwood, they're making plays. That's why people are, seeing them and they're in the transfer portal in the first place because they know they've got other opportunities out there because when it came to game day, they delivered.
All right, we already talked about Kyle Kelly a little bit. Last three I have on here, and again, there very well could be names that we're missing on here. It's kind of hard to find information on like actual transfer like portal classes, except for just random stuff you kind of see here and there. So if there are names that we're missing and we're not talking about it, I do apologize, but this is kind of the best I could come up with. Then we have Kahani McNeese, Danny Royster, and AJ Taylor.
Yeah. Yeah. I
So
mean,
those,
I did see some of them step into the portal and they, tweet a little film. I don't have a ton, honestly. I didn't see them a lot during game day. I'm sure they did contribute to the team. I appreciate them and I wish them the best, but I don't have a ton. I didn't see everybody.
it's all good. Now, this is all speculative,
Hmm.
but you and I might have broke a little news here.
Breaking news.
So there might
Ball
be
State
one.
of the Union.
There might
Breaking
be
news.
potentially. Now there might be one name that people are saying, "Well, wait a second, didn't he enter the transfer portal?" And that would be Justin Bowick Jr. Came on at the end of the year, had a great end of the year, ended up redshirting, so he kind of save it. He had tweeted that he was entering the transfer portal, and our very own Ball State Football Talk does what he always does: showed him some love, put a tweet out there. When I was looking through the list earlier, I didn't see his name on there, so I went to go see if I could find any information. And
What?
that post where he had said he was entering the transfer portal is now been deleted. So we don't know what that means, but Justin Bowick Jr., let us know what you're doing. If you're coming back,
Staying.
we'll let you know. But I did think it was interesting. So again, that's all speculative. We have no idea really what's happening, but I did think it was interesting. So we might have inadvertently broke some news here.
He's a dog too.
Yes.
4 games, a little bit under 400 yards, like 3 something. Yeah, bright things in the future. Getting coached up by Shaq Van, wide receiver coach that we just retained.
Yeah, I did see that.
So that was great news too. Seeing that we just re-signed Shaq. It looks like Shaq Van out of Eastern Michigan, the running back, and then he was actually a GA at Washington when they went on their national championship run. So to pull him at wide receiver coach last year was pretty big, and I think that was a bright spot for us. It was next man up. Okay, he's competing. He's performing. Okay, next man up. Injury again. He's competing. He's performing. So there's somebody behind there that's getting them ready. That's making sure they know, it's game day. You got to bring it because you never know who's going to go down. Next man up. Be prepared because every time it happened, somebody stepped in the role and they're prepared. So I think that was a big signing for us. That was huge.
Yeah, if you remember, one of the big kind of questions coming out of camp and early in the year was, what's happening in a wide receiver? You had some injuries coming out of camp. Was it Cam Pickett who got hurt on like the second play of the season? So they were down wide receivers pretty early, and you had a lot of guys come on and contribute and play well. So yeah, I agree with you. I'm not super into like assistant coaches and keeping up with all that, but as you were saying that, it makes perfect sense. So I couldn't agree more with going ahead and keeping them on. So yeah, Coach Yurmevich, he's going to have to fill out the rest of the coaching staff, and I'm sure he'll do a great job. And
I was hearing rumors from the sideline guy that we're waiting for North Dakota State to get done playing their games because we got some coaches that are maybe coaching over there that are going to come over. So that's exciting too.
Look, I'll tell you all this too. This is for anyone watching. If you got a rumor, send it to me. I love rumors, even if some of them are crazy. I just want to hear them all. I want to hear any and all rumors that anybody has. It could be that you saw Charlie Cardinal drinking too much out in the village the night before. I want to hear about it. I want to see it. I love it. So any and all rumors, I'm here for. Okay, we got I think one more big topic here, and you can kind of tell me what you think about it.
Sure thing.
National Signing Day last week, the same day we hired our coach, so we didn't really get to talk about too much. Let me pull up our Rivals 24.
A lot of Indiana boys.
A lot of them. So, hold on a second. That's 24. We want 25.
I'm okay with it though.
25.
John,
okay.
Did you watch that intro presser with Coach U?
I watched some of it. I didn't get to watch all of it. What'd you think of it?
So they posted it a little late, but when we do go through this and we look at this, it maybe doesn't look great yet, but Coach U did say to give him some time because a lot of those players might get signed during spring. There'll be a couple waves. So it's still very early. I don't want this to reflect too harshly on Coach U because in past times, last year, for example, a weakness of our team, coaching specifically, maybe with New, was that they weren't recruiting really well. So, I'm hopeful that there's a change with this page turn here, but you never know. But we have to give him time. He said in the presser, there's going to be a couple waves, some in spring. So let's not be too harsh.
Nope. Yep, I agree. So he just, he's had the job for 1 week, so you can't hardly hold any of this stuff on him. But did you get a chance to look at any of these guys so far? Okay.
I did. So I just want to kind of give a grand picture before we go right into it.
Okay.
So far this year, we're ranked 11th out of 12 in the MAC for recruiting, which is understandable. But a lot of the other teams, are having a new coach as well, like Central Michigan, for example. And the team below us, actually, it was interesting, is Akron. But they have 12 commits to our 7. And somehow we still have like a higher recruiting rating. I think maybe we have more like 3 stars. Oh, okay. We have 7. They have 12 commits, but only 7 3 stars. And I think we have less commits, but the same amount of 3 stars. So it's kind of interesting. Like, is it quality over quantity as well with this? So it's kind of interesting looking at that too. But I think our bright spot on the biggest recruit we've gotten so far is Lucas Szymborski. I'm sorry if I'm butchering that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to pronounce his name either, but I did watch some of his highlights as well.
Yeah, he looks like he'll be a dog. And they have him nationally not ranked, but in the position 133. I mean, there's how many teams in FBS? 134. So
yeah,
I mean, there's going to be a couple linebackers, and they're bound to be off a little bit. Hopefully, they're ranking them too low. So I mean, I don't mind it. I don't mind that one. I think he's right in Crown Point, Indiana. Localish kind of guy. I'll take that. We got the next.
Well,
the next best guy. Oh, my bad. Go ahead.
From what I saw, I was able to watch. He had this video on this 24/7. Seemed like a ball hawk for a linebacker. It seemed like a lot of the highlights were him batting balls down, actually intercepting balls, which obviously it's a highlight tape, so you're going to show all that stuff. But a ball hawking turnover, generating linebacker, you always got to like that.
Yeah, we'll take it. We'll take it. That sounds like something we need.
Yeah. So what else you got? Who else we got?
Next up, we got Michael Thacker. 6'2", 260. I like the size on the guy. He's out of New Palestine, Indiana. Another kind of local kid from the Hoosier State.
Very good program. Let's see what there's 6. I don't know exactly what class they're in now, but I know there's 6A in football. So they're either 4 or 5A. They're a perennial state champion pretty much every year.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll take that. That sounds good to me too. We got the next guy was interesting. The one thing I wanted to point out about him, Darian Talbert, 3-star kid, wide receiver, 5'9", 150. He's probably fast.
Yep.
He's probably super fast. So I kind of like that. We got another the guy after him, Donovan Lanier, cornerback, 3-star, 5'11", 160. He might need a year or two to like bulk him up.
Florida boy too.
Yeah. Yep. And then Makia Webster after that. Another linebacker, 3-star to pair with Lucas Uh, I like that as well. Well, you need multiple linebackers. Injuries can happen, so we'll take it.
I'm going to
Uh,
stop you real quick. I want to go back
sure.
to Donovan Lanier. I believe that's how you pronounce his name from Florida. It obviously Ball State being a smaller program, you're going to, for the most part, kind of recruit the Midwest. But every so often they pull someone from Florida, and they've had some pretty good luck with that. Obviously, they
Kyle
pulled
Kelly.
Kyle Kelly. I believe Dee Snyder's from Florida. If you go back a ways, Willie Snead. You can look at
Yeah.
Eric Patterson. They've got some good players from Florida. I believe Eric Patterson's from Florida. So that's kind of a good sign to me because they're able to pull someone from, obviously a great, football state in Florida. Great people live in Florida like myself. So, yeah, I like seeing that as well because it seems like we've had some success with pulling players from Florida, which we don't always do. But anyways, I just
Yeah.
wanted to point that out.
Sure. Next up, we've got some offensive linemen. Possibly the most important position in football.
Mm-hmm.
The only position that doesn't have to rely on another position.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to have a good offensive line, recruit well at the offensive tackle position or inside offensive line. We've got Sam Spicer, 6'5", 275.
Big.
Good Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Another three-star inside offensive lineman with Max Parsiak out of Napanee, Amish country.
Oh, where exactly is Napanee? You seem like you know where that is. Where is that?
It's near to. I mean, I don't know, maybe like less than an hour away from South Bend, but
Okay.
it's mostly like Amish people there, and you literally drive and you're going around dune buggies, or not dune buggies, but the horse and
Yeah, horse and
carriage.
okay.
So yeah,
Well, hey,
it's he's there. I mean, there are people that aren't Amish there, obviously, but it's very small.
hey,
I think they're
6'3", 315. That checks out.
yeah, corn fed to the
Yeah.
max. They're definitely giving some good Amish butter, stuff like that. The food there is incredible. Amish people know how to cook.
Attaboy, Max.
Um,
We love it.
yep, keep putting the weight on. And then next we've got our only two-star signing. So we've got Gabriel Aramboles out of
Mm-hmm.
Westfield, Indiana.
Another very good program.
For sure. He hopefully is pretty fast as well. I think he looked kind of small, right? Or no, so 6 foot
6 foot.
190.
So, yeah.
No, okay, that's
Yeah.
fine. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm. But yeah,
Finally,
Westfield,
oh, go
another
ahead.
very good program. Like, um, I went to Center Grove High School, who's been one of the perennial teams in the state for I don't know 20-ish years now.
Mhm.
Westfield's really come on the scene here in the last handful of years and been competing for state titles at the highest level. So yeah, very good program. So we always take people. We love people from those good high schools in Indiana. So okay, I think we got one
Definitely.
more, and I think it's probably the most important
Last,
one.
yeah, last but definitely not least, we got Jacob Bell, quarterback, committing to Ball State right now. 6'3", 195. He did have interest from multiple MAC and Big Ten teams that were interested. Uh, Even Tino Sorenzi, he
Yeah.
just left. I believe he just left IU and went to UCLA.
Yep.
He recruited him. That's a good sign. The only thing to worry about that worries me a little bit is after we had the commit from him just recently, Ohio, who won the MAC, did just offer him on December 5th. So that is something to keep our eyes on.
Mm-hmm.
He did also commit to us before Mike New was fired. So who knows if he's going to stay? It is really on our coach, Coach U, just to try to convince him, just the way we needed him to try to convince Caden Simons to try to stay. I know these players left for winter break or had their finals and then left, but we got to convince some of these players because we don't want to get left quarterbackless.
No, yeah, no.
And I know we have Christian Abney on the roster, and apparently I was reading from sidelines that he was a former quarterback, and Butler actually recruited him as well when Coach U was there. That would be interesting. I'm not
Mhm.
breaking news there. We're not breaking news like the Justin Bowick,
Yeah.
information, but I just don't want to get caught high and dry. I do really think if Caden Samanza does move on, we need to call Kyle Kelly and just say, hey, we're going to run the ball. We're going to focus our offense around you. I think that's their best case. But Jacob Bell, I'd love for him to come to Ball State. I saw that he followed me. I followed him back. Jacob, maybe come on the program. We're interested. Let's talk.
Yeah, we're here, Jacob. If you want to talk, we got you, man. We got you, man. But yeah, so that. Oops, I kicked you off. Hold on, my bad.
You're
I
good.
kicked you out of there. But yeah, so that basically covers, the transfer portal, the NIL or the this 2025 class. I don't know. We'll see how it all plays out. Obviously, when you have a new coach coming in, there's going to be a lot of turnover, a lot of moving parts, and so we just hope that Coach U is going to be able to do what's best for the team and get us kind of rolling, so we can get back to where we want this program to be, which is competing for the MAC and going to bowl games a lot more often than we have been. So, any other thoughts? We miss anything?
Yeah. Some final thoughts. Today, breaking news. Tomorrow, what's next? Maybe merch. Get some
Who
merch
knows?
out there. We're working on that. That's going to come in maybe January. We're working on a collective. We're trying to get players to be sponsored by Ball State of the Union, Ball State Football Talk. That'll come in January too. We're working on all this stuff now, working on a better setup. Good things are coming. This is just the beginning, and we're already breaking news, guys.
Maybe
More to come.
we'll see.
More to come.
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah. So I think it was a good episode. If anyone has any thoughts on the transfer portal, the 2025 class that was just signed, let us know below. Let us know on Twitter. Leave a like, subscribe, follow both Colin and I. And yeah, we'll be back with a lot more next week. Chirp, chirp.
Chirp, chirp, baby.
We'll talk to you guys later.